And so I said, Bob, you got a problem, and the problem is really very simple. You don't have a selling system. He said, what the hell's a selling system? I said, exactly, Bob. That's your problem. And it's not only that you don't have one, it's you don't even know what one is.
Right.
And he said to me, well, can you create a selling system? I said, sure, Bob. With obviously the confidence born out of extreme ignorance.
Sure.
And he said, well, why don't you do that? And so he hired me to build a selling system for him.
Boom, 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 boom.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolf and Joe Fear. Check it. Yo.
Hi there. We're back.
Come
again.
back.
Been here all along, Matt.
Well, I wasn't talking to you.
Oh.
Why would I be telling you to welcome? Why would I be welcoming you back when you've been here?
Yeah, I live in your office. It's weird. Sleep under your desk.
That little cot right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Called a floor.
With my dog that has
Farts
flatulence.
She's getting old. She's becoming an old lady. All right. So give her a break. All right. So
once again, we're back with a legend.
We've had a lot of legends on lately.
And we have more legends in the pipeline too.
We do.
Yeah.
We can't tell folks what legends we are holding from them for now.
Because what if they cancel on us? That'd be bad.
Well, yeah. Well, see, that's why we're not putting it out there yet. So we'll just keep that to ourselves.
Yeah.
All right. So we have definitely a legend, stemming all the way back to your dad.
No, this was literally the catalyst that got me into business. So the book by this author, I don't know why we're hiding it. It's Michael Gerber. We're talking to Michael Gerber, the writer of the E-Myth.
That's right.
And the E-Myth was the first business book that I ever read that sort of started me down my entrepreneurial journey. So I told that to Michael and let him know. And then it kind of broke into a little bit of the story about my dad's company. And
he called him out, man.
Yeah, my dad got a little called out in that.
What's Rick going to think? Is he going to love it, or is he going to be like, I'm going to go find Michael?
My dad is very open to feedback.
I know he is. I know. No, I thought it was super. I mean, because E-Myth, I definitely stumbled upon it later than you did, but I just thought there's a cool story about you and your dad and how Michael was involved. Michael didn't know at the time, but Michael did give that book to him in his own way. So yeah, Michael, he doesn't do a lot of podcasts, and rightly so. He doesn't need to. That was the very first thing or one of the first things he told us on a previous call. He's like, I don't need to do these things. I'm like, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Why
so
would
we're pretty honored to have him on this show. When we were actually doing our research for this show, like almost all the podcasts we found that he was on were like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So,
he's doing a lot of stuff now that's not as forefront, I guess. Like different stuff. And Radical You is his new thing.
Yeah.
And, newish thing, but it's definitely an extension and a whole, like very actionable step-by-step process of what he's been teaching around systems forever.
Yeah.
Michael. So, Radical You, we have links and all that stuff in the show notes. And
the program's $10 a year.
For the first year.
For the first year.
Just first year.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is after that, but it's an extended education process that is literally done by, and this is like his work of 84 years, and he's still working on it every single day. He said he's busier than ever. So, yeah, Radical You. We don't have the URL actually.
The URL will be on the show notes page.
Yes. So go to the show notes or the notes, wherever you're going to dig into this thing, and you'll get a nice special welcome.
Yes.
That way. So speaking of which, let's get the notes, huh?
Yeah, get the notes. hustleandflowchart.com/comp. We took detailed notes on this episode. I'm using my inflections to let you know that they're detailed.
They are detailed.
Detailed notes. Right? I'm emphasizing that.
The notes. How detailed they are.
And how detailed they are.
I'm going to emphasize the fact that you don't have to take the notes.
No.
Nor did we. We didn't even take the notes. We have a fabulous person on our team named Sue who took these notes for you. So you should get these fine, detailed notes that you didn't have to take at hustleandflowchart.com/comp, and they're free. That's even better, right?
Free.
For 2 weeks of this episode going live, so go fast.
Yep.
You can pause and go there right now at hustleandflowchart.com/comp, and you'll get those detailed free notes.
Yeah. Well, Michael Gerber, he's a systems guy, right? And so, yes, I do. I know. He loves his systems. And one of the things we do a lot in our business is SEO. And Ahrefs is our favorite SEO tool that we use, and they happen to be a sponsor of this podcast. And one of the systems that you can do in Ahrefs that I really, really like is, in a previous episode, I talked about how you can run these like audits, and that at the end of this audit is going to essentially give you a checklist of here's everything you need to fix for your SEO, right? Well, what you can do with those audits is you can actually you can tell it to do it once a week and send you an email reminder once it's done it. So you can have literally a systematic SEO process where once a week, Ahrefs sends you an email saying, we just ran an audit on your site. Here's the things you need to fix. You either hand it off to a VA. Michael Gerber would probably recommend you hand it off to a VA.
Someone, yeah.
But either you or a VA can just go through the checklist and optimize your SEO, and you have a nice systematic way of keeping up with your SEO using Ahrefs.
Even better, just have the VA or someone in your team have that email address so it doesn't even go to you.
You could do that too.
Don't even pass it off to anybody. Let the system pass it off to them.
That's true.
So, as long as you're getting a brief on how things are shaping up, which that thing would do. And that's what's really cool with Ahrefs. Yeah, it's like a system that you can, I think even daily or weekly, but basically at least weekly, have a snapshot.
I think it's weekly. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's really cool. So like I was getting these emails for a while, even though you focus primarily on that. I'm like, oh, it's good to just know, oh, cool, I'm showing up for these different keywords, or these are the blind spots that, that popped up. Something happened, or here's an opportunity. So it's really cool.
Yeah. So you can grab Ahrefs over at ahrefs.com. They've got a $7 trial where you get access for 7 days. Check it out. See if you like it. You're probably going to like it.
I think you will.
We've been using it for years now. So
just do the audit. Audit's like the easiest way to start. And we talked about that before. And then set up these little reminders at the same time. Yeah, $7 for 7 days. So Ahrefs, ahrefs.com.
All right, let's go dive in with Michael Gerber.
All right, Michael, we're live and we're very excited to have you here. How you doing?
Well, I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing amazing.
Doing great.
I know we share the same town in San Diego County is at least. Unfortunately, we can't do this in person, circumstances around us, but yeah. And we've had a pleasure chatting with you the first time about a month ago. And I want to give a shout out to David Jenyns from Systemology as well. He connected us, and I know you guys have done some stuff together as well. And he's
wonderful. Did you actually get a chance to speak to him on your podcast?
Oh,
we did. Yeah.
He's a neat young guy.
No kidding. And I feel like he's really built upon a lot of your previous work and current work still with the eMyth and all the different revisited and versions of it. And kind of, he just like went down a lot more tactical, and all these little bits and pieces. So it's like a perfect blend, I feel like, between the two.
Yeah, he really gets down to the really tactical.
It's great.
He gets down to the really tactical. He's a really, really, really splendid guy. In fact, through him, and he came to the Dreaming Room a couple of years ago. And he's in Australia, and he came to Southern California where we held a Dreaming Room. And he was so moved by it, he came to me and my wife, Liz Delia, afterward and asked if he could do anything at all to give back what he got at the Dreaming Room. And we said, well, I have no idea what that might be. We're about to publish a new book, and the book is called Beyond the eMyth, The Evolution of an Enterprise from a Company of One to a Company of 1,000. And he said, well, how are you going to promote that? And I said, well, we haven't even thought about it. He said, I want to take responsibility for launching your book.
Wow.
So he did. And in the process, he set up 37 podcasts.
You were busy.
Yeah, to announce the book. And so I met 37 different times on 37 podcasts. And the book immediately went to number one on Amazon.
Wow.
And so he just did this for us and with us. And then obviously we subsequently had a profound impact on his book, Systemology. And so you'll find me in his book, writing the forward to his book. So the relationship.
Very cool. No, that's and I know you don't do a lot of podcasts as well. So yeah, we're honored to have you here as well, since You probably took some time off after the 37 or so. I hope.
Yeah, that was quite an experience.
Right?
No, I don't do podcasts.
Yeah, well,
I just don't.
Yeah.
I want to give you a ton of credit because you've had a huge impact on my sort of entrepreneurial career. When I think I told you this last time we chatted, but I don't have it on recording, so I'm going to say it again. But when I first sort of got into business, my parents, they owned a shutter company, a window covering shutter company, and that's where Joe and I actually started working together, was at that company. But when my dad, he kind of had these plans for me to sort of take over the business and run it so he can retire and sort of back himself out a bit. And the very first thing he did when he presented that to me was he handed me a copy of the E-Myth and he said, go read this book. This is the first book you need to read when it comes to business. So that was the first book that I ever read in the sort of world of business. And I think I told you on the call, it was that book. And then it was The Goal by... I don't know how to pronounce his his name, but Goldratt, right?
Yes.
His first name I always mess up.
Bookshelf.
But anyway, the E-Myth was the very first book that set me down my own entrepreneurial journey. So, so much appreciation for you and having that book into the world.
Well, thank you. What happened to that shutter company?
Well, that shutter company in 2008, when all of the financial crisis hit, it got some hard times. My parents actually sold the business. The new owner, it actually filed bankruptcy, went under, and then my dad restarted the company a few years later. So he's back doing the same thing he was then. There was just a little gap there after the financial issues that happened around 2008.
We'll do a quick shout out to Rick then. Yeah.
When you said earlier the shutter company, I was going to say a perfect turnkey opportunity, if there's any. A shutter company is like the gold standard for turnkey operations.
Yeah.
In short, nobody should have gone out of business. In short, had your dad done the E-Myth rather than just handing it to you, something significant would have occurred. And you can tell him I said that.
And actually, Michael, even better, can you say, hey, Rick?
He's probably listening to this episode. Yeah.
And you can have him call me.
Yeah.
and I'll tell him what I meant when I said that. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So what? So I'm curious right now. What? How would you define it as like the gold standard? What would make something like that the gold standard for success there?
Well, it's a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
In short, it's obviously a commodity. It's like shutters,
yeah,
for God's sakes. And this is how you do them.
Yep.
And so it's a commodity. It's a systemic reality. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. You can teach any dummy to do it. And because you can teach any dummy to do it, that means you can actually excel with, in quotes, dummies doing it. Just like a hamburger stand.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is that your dad, had he truly absorbed the essence of E-Myth when I shared the book with him, he would have seen that he's in the perfect business. And it's simply the problem that happens all the time. And this happens millions of times. People read my book, they just don't do my book. My book is an instruction manual. It says step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. That means do step 1, do step 2. You follow me?
Yeah.
Just think about step 1, and then you pretty immediately understand why I said that so-and-so went on a trip for a number of years,
right,
when he really got it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Yeah, it's can't stay between the ears. It's a great concept to internalize, yes, but that's where people stop, unfortunately, a lot of times.
Yeah. We think about too much. We just think about too much, and we got to eradicate all of that and really get to the heart of it, which is a blank piece of paper and beginner's mind. You got to literally forget about what you think you know and simply follow the system. The system is sacrosanct. So enough said about that.
That was a great way to start. I love it.
Yeah.
And your dad, I hope will appreciate it because he has that opportunity. He has a shutter company again.
Yeah.
So let's do this.
Start it over.
How old is your dad?
Mid 60s. I think he's about 64. He's probably gonna kick my butt for if I'm wrong.
Tell your dad, Gerber said, "It's time, stupid."
That's great.
Tell your dad. Gerber said that.
I will.
You can even just play the podcast to him.
Yeah.
You don't want to be embarrassed.
This is great. You better share this with your pops.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Michael, I mean, I know we jumped into it and I love it. And I don't think you need an introduction, but hey, let's, for the handful of folks listening that, who's this Michael Gerber guy? Michael E. Gerber guy. And E-Myth, I don't know what that is, but give us a quick synopsis of taking us back a little bit in time. And then I know now you're doing some amazing things with your new venture, Radical You, and a lot of mission focused, actionable items for people there.
Well, good. Well, people obviously think people are born entrepreneurs. And the fact of the matter is they're not. The fact of the matter is I wasn't interested in business at all. I was a saxophone player. I was a carpenter. I've done this and done that, encyclopedia salesman. I mean, just about any stupid thing anybody would ever want to do. And I've done them stupidly as well as incredibly well. But at the heart of every single one of them was a system. Now, I didn't think about it when I was there learning how to play the saxophone starting at the age of 11. But it was a system. This is how you do it. 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 This is how you sell an encyclopedia. This is how you sell an encyclopedia. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. First, you memorize the script. Memorize the script. Yes, memorize the script. Now go home and memorize the first 3 pages of the script and then come back and say it to me without the script. Mm-hmm. And then I came back and I said it to him without the script. And he said, absolutely terrific. Get it 100% right. But now say it like this. And then he gave me the inflection within the script, just as you can hear it now, the inflection within the script. So effectively, the inflection within the script brings the script alive, just like the music. So when my saxophone teacher gave me music to memorize, I would memorize the music, and then you would say, now listen to that, listen to that, listen to Charlie Parker do that, listen to Stan Getz do that, listen to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You follow me?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as you begin to listen to Charlie Parker do that and Stan Getz to do that, it wasn't so that I would become Charlie Parker and become Stan Getz. It would be so I could understand and internalize the inflection that makes music music. So it's not simply the raw notes. Just like I'd say, it's not simply the raw notes of your shutter business. Mm-hmm. It's the inflection of it. And therein lies the personality within it. Mm-hmm. And therein lies the magic of it. And so when you think of a company like Apple and you think of a guy like Steve Jobs, you think of the personality of it. Mm-hmm. Because Apple wasn't in the same computer business everybody else was in. Mm-hmm. It was in its own computer business in a way that nobody else was in it. That was the inflection, in quotes, of it. So when I speak to a small business owner, I'm speaking to a small business owner in exactly that way. It's the system, stupid. It's the systems. Mm-hmm. It's the system, stupid. But listen to Sonny Rollins play that, and you'll hear something completely different when he plays that than when Stan Getz plays that. It's the inflection within it. that lets you know you're listening to Sonny Rollins, that lets you know you're listening to Stan Getz, that lets you know you're looking at Apple. You're not looking at Dell Computer. They live in different worlds, completely different worlds. And so that's what the entrepreneurship process is all about. So understand, I learned how to do this, I learned how to do that, I learned how to do this, I learned how to do that. And then on my way back from Southern California to Northern California, I stopped over to visit my sister and my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law's name was and is Ace. Mm-hmm. And Ace owned a small advertising agency in Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And he got in there because of my influence. Uh-huh. Now, you got to understand, I didn't know anything about advertising and I didn't know anything about business. But my influence, you might say, was the inflection of what I said to Ace as we were having one of our continuous conversations, philosophically, spiritually, emotionally, et cetera, and so forth, and so on and so forth. And Ace always thought I was a genius. So Ace listened to me when he listened to me, and he started his ad agency. And when I was stopping by on my way to Northern California to visit with Ace and Marcia, my sister, Ace asked me if I'd come visit one of his clients with him. And his client, Bob, we'll call him, was having difficulty converting the leads Ace's ad agency was creating for his business into sales. And so I've said this 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 100 gazillion times. I said, Ace, I don't know anything about business. What in the world am I going to tell Bob? And he said, Mike, you know more than you think you do. Just do me a favor and come visit with Bob. Let's see what happens. So understand that let's see what happens is an absolutely magical expression. Because effectively my entire life has been built around let's see what happens. Starting with, as I've called it, a blank piece of paper and beginner's mind. So when Ace said, let's see what happens, I said, sure, let's see what happens. Who knows what's going to happen? And so I went to visit Bob with Ace, and Ace said to Bob and to me, he said, look, guys, I'm going to take off for an hour, get to know each other. Let's see what happens. And so we did. Bob said to me after Ace leaves, Michael, what do you know about my business? Nothing, Bob. Well, if you don't know anything about my business, looking at his watch. What do you know about our product? And I said, less than that, Bob. Now, Bob's thinking, where's Ace? Because I got an hour to kill with a chump who doesn't know anything about my business or my product. How in the hell is he going to help me? Yeah. And he asked me that, how the hell are you going to help me? And I said, I haven't a clue, Bob. But Ace thinks I can. You like Ace. I like Ace. And he's going to be back in an hour. Let's find out.
Yeah.
In short, let's see what happens. So I started that conversation. In a way, I started this conversation in that conversation, realizing I didn't know anything about business, but believing because he owned one, he did. And that was the immediate major breakthrough that occurred in that meeting. Not only did I realize that I did know something about business, but that he didn't. In fact, what I knew was selling is a system. I knew that. I'd learned that. But I never thought about that other than practicing that. And so as I'm listening to Bob answering my questions, all of his answers being anecdotal, I realized he didn't know anything about his business. He didn't know, in fact, that selling is a system. As a result, he hired sales engineers, meaning engineers. They had to know about the product. They had to know about technology, and sales experience, meaning they had to have sales experience. So sales engineers, so many companies hire sales engineers thinking that those two skills are absolutely critical if they're going to be successful at selling, and they're not. And so I said, Bob, you got a problem, and the problem is really very simple. You don't have a selling system. He said, what the hell's a selling system? I said, exactly, Bob. That's your problem. And it's not only that you don't have one, it's you don't even know what one is.
Right.
And he said to me, well, can you create a selling system? I said, sure, Bob. With obviously the confidence born out of extreme ignorance.
Sure.
And he said, well, why don't you do that? And so he hired me to build a selling system for him. Now, I understand Ace picks me up. Ace said, what happened? I said, Bob just hired me. He said, hired you to do what? I said, to create a selling system. He says, what's that?
Good question.
I said, Ace, obviously, you got the problem Bob's got.
Should hire me.
It's so absolutely obvious what a selling system is. It's the methodology through which you conduct a sale. And to the degree there's no methodology through which you conduct a sale, forget it. It's going to be an accident waiting to happen continuously. And the minute you have 6 guys, in fact, in the same company, doing it without a selling system, it's sheer chaos. So that's Bob's problem. Now, I got to believe that if it's Bob's problem, it's probably a problem in just about every one of your client companies. And if that's a problem in every single one of your client companies, you have an incredible business opportunity. Because it's more than likely true that very few advertising agencies understand what a selling system is. They think it's the quality of the lead when it's not. It's the quality of the system through which you convert that lead into an active paying customer. Blah, 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 blah. That's how I started.
Yeah. How cool is and I believe you didn't turn into an entrepreneur, quote unquote entrepreneur, until about 40 years old, right? Is that?
Yeah, about 40.
Wow. I mean, yeah.
Meaning, let's see what happens.
Sure.
The nature of my life has been, let's see what happens. Here I am now with Bob in a completely new industry. Now I'm not selling encyclopedias at night. I'm actually working during the day. Absolutely astonishing. So here I am learning completely new business, a completely new field. And what I discovered is not only didn't Bob have a selling system, he didn't have a management system. He didn't have a marketing system. He didn't have a financial system. He didn't have a system for doing all of the essential things that had to be done in his company. And it was then, as that arose for me, when I walked into McDonald's. Now, understand, I walked into McDonald's between the ad agency and another client. And I suddenly had this epiphany. Now, I'd been in McDonald's before. I'd never seen McDonald's before the way I just saw it. Suddenly, I saw the system incarnate, the operating system. I didn't even buy a hamburger then. I just realized I can do that. That sudden realization, that sudden epiphany, I can do that. I can create a system for doing what I'm doing. And if I can create a system for doing what I'm doing, I can transform the state of small business worldwide. because every single small business I walked into was lacking that functional awareness, that functional realization that it's the system stupid. It's the system stupid. It's the system stupid. It's not great people. Yes, great people is wonderful. But if you have great people and you're lacking a system underlying the operation of your company, you're going to fail. You're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail. And I say to folks today, during this pandemic we're going through, and you understand the extreme ferocity of this pandemic we're going. But as I'm speaking to people about this in the very way we're speaking about it now, last year, we're in 2020, so that was 2019. Mm-hmm. In 2019, there were about 550,000 businesses failing. 500 in the United States. Mm-hmm. Think about that. This is before the pandemic.
Wow, that's wild. Yeah.
Before the freaking pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Means we must have had another pandemic that was behind, responsible for business failures. It's such a great, great abundance every year.
Okay.
Because the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and we talk about 2008, the bad times, 2008, you just talked about it.
Right.
Shit hits the fan, 2008, et cetera, and so forth. Understand it was 2007, 2006, 2005, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I know this was a bad one. However, if you take a look overall, you'll see, in fact, that we were failing big time even before 2008. Mm. So why is it nobody sits in absolute astonishment at how badly we're operating our companies? 550,000 business failures? Are you kidding me?
It's like the silent killer of businesses.
Please think about it. So we've been suffering from, in quotes, that pandemic, I'll call it, for generations. That's what I saw. That's what suddenly came to me. And I want you to understand that when I finally left Ace brought in a guy to replace me. I realized that I couldn't do this anymore with Ace because Ace wasn't doing it himself. I had to get out of there. So he brought a guy in. The guy's name was Tom Travisano. And Tom was really a brilliant guy. And I'm getting ready to leave. And Tom said, "So, Michael, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to start my company to do this." He said, "I want to go with you." So I said, "Tom, but Ace needs you." "I don't care, Michael, because it's obvious to me you're leaving because it ain't going to happen the way it needs to happen here. So I want to go with you." So we named the company the Michael Thomas Corporation. And we called it a business development firm. And we had a dream, a vision, a purpose, and a mission. And Tom and I sat there until we could articulate our dream, our vision, our purpose, and our mission to the degree we could share it with every single person who would speak to us about it. Our dream at the Michael Thomas Corporation was to transform the state of small business worldwide. Our vision was to invent the McDonald's of small business consulting services. Our purpose was to invent a new world for prospective small business owners to the degree that every single one of them could be as successful as a McDonald's franchisee, or even beyond that as McDonald's itself. And finally, our mission was to invent the business development system that was crucial for our dream, our vision, and our purpose to be realized. So that's what I've been doing since 1977.
So I know this is jumping ahead, but I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, well, that sounds like the same exact manifesto that you have for Radical You. I wonder how that connects.
Well, it is Radical You, but it was E-Myth before us.
Sure. Yeah.
It was the Michael Thomas Corporation before that. It was Gerber Business Development Corporation. It was the E-Myth Academy. It is. It's the core operating mindset underlying everything I've done all these years.
Wow.
So effectively understand there's nothing new under the sun. And the true tragedy is that with all of this stuff being created worldwide, all of the internet-based services being created worldwide, all the stuff being created still here today, it's fundamentally misunderstood. And that fundamental misunderstanding is costing us, and I say us, I mean you and me, it's costing America, it's costing the world, everything. Because if one were to fully engage in what I've just shared with you, fully, forget about everything you might believe in, forget about everything you believe you know how to do. If every single human being on the planet understands that we're born in the image of God, which means we're born to create, which means we're born to create a world fit for God, then they could begin to understand the secret underlying all this is no longer a secret. In fact, it hasn't been a secret since 1977. Indeed, it wasn't a secret even then because Ray Kroc knew it.
Yep.
And if Ray Kroc knew it at McDonald's, then what the hell? Everybody could see it. All one has to do is to look at McDonald's and say, do that. Now, understand what everybody will say to you in response to that. Yeah, but that's the hamburger business. Yeah, but our business is different than that. Yeah, but our business is sophisticated. Yeah, but. And all the yeah, buts on the planet is what created 550,000 failures in 2019. Yes, but. So we're talking to folks right now. That's what I believe happens on a podcast.
I think this will get to others. Yeah, not just us.
We're talking to folks right now. And I'm telling everybody the secret. And the secret resides in the E-Myth Revisited. Why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The secret. It ain't no secret. It's been available to every single human being on the planet. It's now in 30 some odd languages, that book, plus all the 30 some odd books that have followed on its heels, the E-Myth chiropractor, the E-Myth HVAC contractor, the E-Myth, and on and on and on and on, again and again and again and again and again and again. And yet, this year, in the pandemic, I'll guarantee you, there'll be more than 550,000 failures because now everybody has a reason. It's the virus.
Yeah, it's this outside influence. It's not nothing that I can control.
It's the virus. It's the virus. It's the virus. And just stupid. Yes, it's the virus, but so what? The true virus is what every single one of us have had since the day we're born. Get with it. And as you begin to hear that, then you say, well, how would I do that? It's in the freaking book.
There were steps involved. Yes.
It's in.
Rick didn't take those steps. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Step 1, do it. Step 2, do it. Do it right. Do it right. Do it right. Do it right. Practice the script. Practice the sip. Get the inflection of the script. and so forth and so forth and so forth. And as you do that, everybody, I swear to God, can become successful as an entrepreneur.
Do you think it takes that beginner's mind? Like folks just don't have that blank slate. They just kind of jump into doing.
Oh, yeah, it does take that beginner's mind. And that's why I say blank paper and beginner's mind. Beginner's mind is everything. And effectively, when I said, and then let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when I do this. So understand, not let's see what happens before I do this. Let's see what happens when I do this. Now, I've had enough experience and we've demonstrated it sufficiently to show that there are literally millions of small companies following the E-Myth model. Now, unfortunately, they read it, but they don't do it. So they skip to step 3 without doing step 2, and they skip to step 2 without doing step 1, and they skip it because they say, shit, I don't need that. Shit, I don't need that. You understand?
Yeah.
We don't need that. Yeah. And of course, who's to say you don't need that? Of course you need that. And of course you learn to play the saxophone. This is how you learn to play the saxophone. You need a reed, stupid. And this is how you get a reed, stupid. Now I add stupid only because it makes an emphasis for everybody to understand we are stupid. I mean, we just are.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing.
It
goes
isn't
back.
bad. It's just the state of our being.
Sure. I attest to that. Yeah.
Before the guy taught me how to read the script, before the guy told me how to say the script, before the guy told me what the importance of the script was, before all that happened, you understand, I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who'd mastered the script. And so while I'm not going to learn something else from him, I'm there to learn what he's mastered. Period. I'm here to learn what he's mastered. So when anybody comes to me and says, I want to say, wonderful. This is a very clear process. A process is a system over time. There's a very clear process for pursuing that. And what it takes is a will to learn and a way to do it. So you as the student bring the will, and I as the teacher bring the way. And if you use that as the measure by which you determine who you're in fact working with, does this guy have a way? Has that way produced positive results consistently? If yes, and if I want to produce positive results consistently, then I know what I got to bring to it. I got to bring the will to become a fervent student. And if I bring that and she brings this, together we'll create that. And then we'll see what happens. Because something's going to happen. And I can't anticipate what that is until I've developed the way to do that. Because now I'm a completely new person. So I'm saying to the folks who are listening to us, from a blank piece of paper to beginner's mind, from a company of 1 to a company of 1,000, the evolution of an enterprise. As you go from a company of 1 and you begin to learn the way, practice the way, apply the way, improve the way, you use the way, something magical occurs. And you have no idea what that's going to feel like. None. You understand? None.
It's a blank slate,
Until
right?
you've been there, you aren't there. And when you get there, you suddenly have something you never knew existed before. That's the secret underlying everything we do. The other part of that secret is nobody wants to do it.
That's what my question was going to go to, is where are the bottlenecks here? And I feel like the will, maybe people might say they have the will, but when they actually get into motion of learning maybe the theory and the foundational elements, as you kind of mentioned earlier, they'll maybe skip the first couple steps, So where do you see the breakdown, and how do you suggest folks to, prevent themselves from breaking down throughout this process?
You understand, you've heard the expression, shit happens.
Nah.
So you think about Hell Week and the U.S. Navy SEALs. So the guys who qualify to even start it have already been through Hell Week of their own sort, their own training, whatever that might be. To qualify to even begin the process to become a U.S. Navy SEAL. But I think the numbers are roughly 80% of those drop out.
Right.
20% make it. So in other words, you don't know what that will means and sounds like, feels like, till you've been there. And then, as I said, shit happens.
Yeah.
And you come face to face with the reality of who I really am and who I'm not. Who I really am and who I'm not. Not what it really is and what it's not. Who I am and what I'm not. Because you understand, it pre-existed before I ever started the process. But I never experienced a process like that. So when I give myself up to that process, I'm giving myself up with ignorance about that process, only to find myself in the process, suddenly confounded by the part of myself that's not for me. And in one absolutely clear moment, I quit. He quits. That part of me that ain't gonna have any more of this. I mean, it's just like that. And you live with that failure, if you're even capable of realizing it's a failure, for the rest of your life. Hear me, for the rest of your life.
Wow.
What we do, unfortunately, is we then justify it. We find all the reasons in the world why it wasn't a failure at all. It was just a stupid thing to do. Who wants to be a Navy SEAL? The guy says, you understand? I don't know what possessed me. The guy says, it has nothing to do with, I just couldn't do it anymore. I have no idea what possessed me, honey. I don't know what possessed me. Why in the world I even thought, but I finally woke up. It's like I finally woke up and smelled the roses.
Yeah.
Out of here, right?
Rang the bell. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're with people who wake up all the time.
Yeah. And I guess it goes back to
the just say, yes, but yes, but yes, but yes, but yes, but yes, but yes. It just goes on and on and on and on. You understand? And it's a tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a self-discovery, it seems like, going through the process. And especially, I know in Radical You, it's an extended process. But if you start with the will and kind of this blank slate, the beginner's mind, I mean, really, you're shaping entrepreneurs with a very tactical approach now, even more so than before, through this training here. And I could see where, you're kind of discovering these things in yourself throughout that process if you're starting with that blank slate. But without that,
And you have to understand also that the Navy SEALs aren't in the business of changing people.
True.
They're in the business of creating Navy SEALs. So they don't give a shit whether Murray got cold feet. They're not in the personal growth business. You understand?
Sure.
Yeah, they're in the risk and reward business. They're in the business of killing the bad guys.
Yeah. Mission based.
Let's kill these guys first. So we know who's with me when I'm in the field. Now, if that were changed, I don't know whether it would make a difference. But if that were changed, if there suddenly was a, in quotes, U.S. Navy SEALs system for transforming the state of persistency, consistency, et cetera, and so forth among all people, that would be something completely different. And there are people who say they do that, like Tony Robbins, or, there's a business doing that, but there's no meaning behind it. You understand? There's no meaning behind it. There's a meaning behind becoming a U.S. Navy SEAL.
Does it go back to the identity factor? Like that's the true meaning?
Yeah, when I say there's no meaning behind it, it's a business. It's not even a calling. It's a business that we're really good at. Now, when I say we're really good at it, we're really good at making money doing it. Whether we're really good at actually transforming the state of humankind worldwide or not, we're really good at selling it. And so we are also good in convincing people that when it didn't work, it's their fault. So understand, we got all the things going for us in that business. If it didn't work, it's because you never did it.
Right.
Yeah. What can I tell you?
It's interesting, because you could apply this all over the place, in any.
Yeah, you can find it in our business. I can say the same thing.
Yeah.
If you don't do the email, well, ain't my fault.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Did you have something along those same lines?
No, go for it.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about Radical You. How does the new program Radical You, how does that sort of evolve what was being taught in the E-Myth? Because I know it's a lot of crossover with the E-Myth, but then there's some sort of new additions, and it's sort of evolved beyond what you were teaching back then. So can we talk about that for a minute?
Well, of course. We're always looking for a way to do it better. So the entire process, I call it the 5 essential skills in E-Myth. The first of which is concentration, the second of which is discrimination, the third of which is organization, the fourth of which is innovation, and the fifth of which is communication. Concentration means the ability to be here now. Discrimination, the ability to apply my focus on one thing, to choose. Organization, my ability to turn chaos into order. Innovation, to create a better way. Not the best way, because none of us are capable of producing the best way. God is, but nobody's figured it out yet. And of course, once we were to figure it out, we would be God. So we ain't going to figure it out. Figure it out without.
Good luck. Yeah.
And then communication. And that's our ability to communicate, share what I've just learned with other people. So we were asking the question, and so why Radical You? So Radical You was created, what I call the 8-fold path, to grow an entrepreneur from a technician to grow a company of 1 to a company of 1,000 and to follow the path that's critical to make that happen. So Radical You takes 5 years. Now, right out of the box, we're already in trouble because nobody can even imagine spending 5 years doing anything.
We're in a pandemic, Michael. How are you?
Nobody can even imagine 5 years.
Sure.
But that aside, it takes 5 years, and it's the eightfold path. And the first 4 steps of that eightfold path are the dreamer, the thinker, the storyteller, the leader. Those are the 4 components of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a dreamer, an entrepreneur is a thinker, an entrepreneur is a storyteller, and an entrepreneur is a leader. So in year 1 of Radical You, we go through those 4 steps. I have a dream, I have a vision, I have a purpose, I have a mission. That's the platform upon which every company must be built. It's a platform of entrepreneurship. So our job in Radical You is to, in quotes, awaken the entrepreneur within. Step by step by step by step. First the dreamer, then the thinker, then the storyteller, then the leader. So when they get done with year 1, they have a dream they're passionate about. They have a vision, they have a purpose, and they have a mission. In year 2, we now go to work on the company. And the first step of that we call the job. And the job is the client fulfillment system. So we have a dream, we have a vision, we have a purpose, we have a mission. In my case, the dream to transform the state of small business worldwide, the vision to invent the McDonald's of small business consulting services, the purpose that every small business owner can effectively and successfully create a company as successful as McDonald's. And finally, a mission, the business development system. So year 2 is the client fulfillment system. We go to work on the client fulfillment system week after week after week after week, all to make our dream, our vision, our purpose, and our mission possible. You follow me?
Yep.
And it's 52 weeks, just like year 1 is 52 weeks. Every week is a seminar which teaches a specific subject that's critical to, in year 1, the dream, the vision, the purpose, the mission, and then homework to practice. And our student does that. Understand, our student today is only paying $10 for the first year.
It's pretty cool. That's some amazing. Yeah.
Now you understand, they're only paying $10 for the first freaking year. And they still can't stay with it. Because yes, but. It just goes on and on and on and on. It goes on and on and on and on. There is no will.
Yeah.
There is a way. We've demonstrated the power of that way over now 45 years. It's the same thing. Becoming a U.S. Navy SEAL means you got to go through Hell Week and you got to come out the other end.
Right.
Period. There's no choice. You got to do it. Because without a dream, without a vision, without a purpose, without a mission, nothing's going to happen.
So that first foundational year for $10 is like, I mean, that is your foundation for pretty much any venture.
Guaranteed. So then what do we have to do? Well, we have to learn how to inspire the student sufficiently to stay with it. Now, obviously, there's no money in it.
Mhm.
In other words, we already spent the $10
I'm pretty sure you did that. Yeah.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
There's no money in it. The only thing left then is to figure it out. So we're working on Radical You while we're working in Radical You. We're working on Radical You while we're working in Radical You to find a way, 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 based upon this presumption that every single person on the planet can indeed develop the will required to fulfill a result, achieve an accountability to the degree sufficient or necessary in order to grow a company of one, to become a company of 1,000, to build an economic reality that can support them, but not only that, but can transform their experience of life in such a way that they can have a profound impact on everyone they meet.
Hmm.
So I'm saying that we have made the commitment to that aspiration non-stop.
Hmm.
So here I am at 84. Here I am at 84,
Yeah.
committed to a realization that has been proven fallible. Again and again and again and again, fallible, 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 because everybody else is proving the opposite.
Hmm.
Everybody else is proving that they ain't got the will, so they ain't going to pursue the way. They can't muster the necessary energy to stay with it sufficiently long enough to actually begin to experience the transformation. And that's the human condition.
Hmm.
But what I'm saying, even as I say that, that's the problem we're here to solve.
The human condition.
Human condition.
Hmm.
That's the problem we're here to solve.
Hmm.
And so I'm 84, and I will be going on, God willing, 85,
Yeah.
86, 87, 88, 89, in the process of working on Radical You to pursue the impossible in order to demonstrate what's truly possible if one puts his or her mind to it. And we're learning how.
Aren't we all? We're always learning how.
Yeah, we're learning how. We're learning how. Or we're learning how not.
Yeah. Well, that's probably the more important thing to learn. A couple of thoughts, because I know one of the big missions here, or maybe not mission, but I know a big purpose of Radical You is to grow from really a business of nothing or one to one that could be sold even within 5 years or by 5 years. Like, do you let's see here, for existing entrepreneurs, how would you recommend them to approach Radical You and just this whole new learning process with the beginner's mind?
Well, very, very simply, read the E-Myth Revisited,
Mm-hmm.
And then read Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. So here's the E-Myth Revisited.
Yep.
Read the freaking book.
Mhm.
And then read Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. And then read Beyond the E-Myth, The Evolution of an Enterprise from a Company of One to a Company of 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And any other book that we've written and pained our way through to get it. While you join us in Radical You, and while we beat the living shit out of you.
Well, you told us it's not going to be easy. Like when you first when we chatted with you, we're like, that's not a great selling point, Michael.
Of course not.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And to even think it might be easy, it's just, you're glossing over life
Yep.
to such an immense degree. It's like you don't even deserve to think that. Nothing's easy.
Hmm.
And anybody who tells you it is lying to you. Nothing's easy. Learning how to play the saxophone isn't easy. Learning how to roof a house isn't easy. Learning how to do anything well isn't easy. It calls for will and it calls for a way. Period. Each of which are absolutely essential if you're ever going to come out whole on the other end. And then when you have, in fact, applied your will and mastered the way, you can then come away with something you didn't have before. And those things are innumerable. But as that happens, you can then share them with others who are also on the path. And you can say, working my ass off in times when I swear I would never do this again. And yet I managed to do it again. I can only say to you, it is worth the wait.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It was worth the wait. And for the rest of my life, I'll be doing much the same. So as I just said to you guys, I'm working on Radical You right now.
Yeah.
Thinking for all these years, you had to have figured it out. Well, we have, but not to the degree we intend to. We intend to transform the state of small business worldwide, which requires that we transform the state of entrepreneurship worldwide, which when we accomplish that, will have transformed the state of economic development worldwide. And that's a worthy thing to seek.
Yeah. And a perfect time too, right now. I mean, and I know you're building this prior to a pandemic and big worldwide crisis, but hey, might as well hunker down, slow down, and start this right now and start rebooting yourself.
Yeah.
I just looked at the clock and I looked at we're over the hour already.
You got it.
This went by way too quick. All right, so Matt, actually end it off for us.
Yeah. So where can people go and learn more about Radical You and get involved and start down this journey?
I'll tell you what. You're going to run this and play it, and I'm going to give you a new address.
I like your style.
And I'm going to introduce you to somebody you really want to meet. And he's a managing partner of ours, an absolutely brilliant guy. His name is Mark Harris. I'm going to email Mark's address to you, and then the three of you can talk. And we'll make something really important happen.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sounds
so
great.
we'll make sure the listeners, when all of y'all listening, we'll link everything up. We'll make it very obvious for you to find your way in there to Radical You.
What can I tell you?
Michael, I'm curious. So I just wanted to end it. Yeah, we always end it with books and asking what's been the most impactful for you. But I'm just kind of curious. Like, where have you felt like the best thing you've mastered throughout your the 84 years that you're mastering everything, but like, is there something specific that just pops out that you can kind of provide us here?
Without a doubt, the one thing I've mastered is writing and telling a story. So behind everything that we've spoken about, at the heart of everything we've spoken about, is the story about everything we've spoken about. And that art, that skill, that knowledge, that understanding, and that ability is at the heart of entrepreneurship. It's the storyteller. I have a dream, but I can't tell you what it's all about. I have a vision. I don't know how to express it. I have a purpose, but I'm not sure it's exactly the one I want. And I have a mission, which probably will keep me busy, but may not actually do it for me.
Yeah.
So, what can I tell you?
Yeah, learn how to tell that story.
Yeah.
A story. Because the story underlies everything.
I love it.
Great storytellers change the world. So therein is the magic. It's the story. It's the story. And if you read the E-Myth Revisited, and I'm telling everybody, read it.
Read it.
Because even though I wrote it, it's like when I read it, it's like I never wrote it.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Interesting.
It's like when I read it, it's like, holy shit, who was that?
Just channeled from somewhere, huh?
Right. It's always astonishing to me.
Wow.
It truly is always astonishing. And I don't read my own books, but it's always astonishing to me because it happens. And so the true gift of all this is that provided the will, provided the way, it happens. And to get that experience, to have that experience is what living life is all about.
Perfect way to end this. As your alarms are probably buzzing to get you out of here.
You got it.
Michael, thank you
We'll
very
see
much.
each other again.
Of course we
Absolutely.
will. I can't wait to meet you one day when this craziness ends. Thank you very much.
You guys are great. You're obviously having fun,
We are.
which is really important.
And I love that you are.
Don't forget your father.
Yep. I'm going to send this episode to him as soon as it's ready.
He's
He'll
gonna.
love it.
He'll remember this for a long time.
You got it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into that episode. I hope you dug it. I know Joe and I dug it. I actually kicked Joe out of the room. He's not here right now because I wanted to tell you about a tool that I really, really dig. We use it in our business. We recommend it all the time. It's called Easy Webinar, and it's a tool that lets you do live webinars, automated webinars, hybrid webinars, and, pretty much any other kind of webinar if there are other kinds of webinars. But anyway, this tool is kind of like your all-in-one, do-it-all tool for anything webinar related. It's Easy Webinar. It's put out by a dude named Casey Zeman. He's been on the podcast. If you haven't listened to that episode, it's a killer episode. He's a really smart dude, but his software is amazing. It does everything. It's, the title tells you exactly what it does. It's an easy webinar platform. And we use this in our business to run automated webinars all the time. We don't do a lot of live webinars these days. We like to do the kind of automated webinars where somebody can register and then they can either watch it like 15 minutes later or they can watch it the next day, but it's just kind of always running. And it's a system that helps us make autopilot sales off of our webinars. Super cool tool. If you haven't tried it yet, it's an amazing tool. And Casey is actually hooking you up. He said for listeners of Hustle and Flowchart, I can't believe he's doing this, but he said for listeners of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast, he's giving 25% off of the membership to use Easy Webinar. It's already super, super inexpensive for what it does and all the cool features it has, but he's hooking you up with 25% off because you're a listener of Hustle and Flowchart. Go to easywebinar.com/hustle. That's where you can get that 25% off discount. That's easywebinar.com/hustle. It's a awesome tool. You're going to dig it. So just go grab it. Check it out. easywebinar.com/hustle. See ya. No, not see ya. You'll hear me in the next show. I don't know how to close these things. Go get Easy Webinar. Talk to you later. Thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. Before taking the time to listen, we want to give you something a little bit special. Every single episode that we do, we actually have somebody on our team take notes. We basically have a Cliff's Notes version of every episode where you can go and find all of the tips and tactics that they laid out, all of the resources that they laid out, all the good stuff from this episode. We actually have a nice simple notes version that you can find on our website. So go to evergreenprofits.com, find this episode that you just listened to, and give us your email address and we'll send you the notes. Thanks for listening.